Good afternoon. I'm Shiva, and we're at the London School of Bollywood, where we dance for inclusion. Thank you for having us here. And I'd like to also thank our team's choreographer and director, Braz, for getting us shows like this, platforms like this, where we can share our message. It isn't easy to be a queer person of color who just wants to dance, irrespective of whether they choose to dance to the female lyrics, or if they choose to put on a skirt and dance to male choreography. The gender binary states that there are two definite genders, male and female. But of course, there are more ways than just these two rigid ones to express your gender identity. I'm sure you've all grown up watching movies and understand how these movies inform culture. It's the same for me, just with Bollywood. Despite all the color, the vibrancy, there's something much more darker. Movies centered on paternalism, violence, inequality. As an aspiring dancer, I was already put into a box of male choreography, female choreography. It's terrifying. I suppose it would be one thing if it was left on screen, but it became part of my surrounding culture. While hyper-masculinity thrived, Bollywood made it kind of clear of the place non-binary folks survive. Stereotyped as comics, villains, caricatures, hypersexual, mentally or physically challenged, and sinful. Not only is it part of culture, but the price to pay for being non-binary is pretty expensive. Disowned by family, abandoned by friends, ridiculed on social media. It's not easy when queer people like me look into Bollywood and the few people that we possibly resonate with, our jokes, are made fun of. Enforcing gender so strictly and creating barriers to positive representation of non-binary persons is harmful. But it doesn't need to be like this. We believe that the solution is threefold. First, those involved in the Bollywood industry need to be held accountable. They need to understand that they have a responsibility to show queer persons as people, having valid identities. Considering its massive impact and reach, these movies in Bollywood and any other film industry, in many ways, tend to be the primary source of knowledge for queer identities. Let queer people tell queer stories. Secondly, corporations and communities need to actively promote a safe space for those who do not conform to the binary. A safe space that does not police one's gender expression. And this is precisely the sort of space, the sort of environment that London School of Bollywood tries to work so hard to create. And I'm very, very, very grateful to it. Thirdly and lastly, as individuals, I think it's important for us to take a moment to reflect from time to time about how we perpetuate gender stereotypes, and perhaps even reflect on how gender stereotypes have affected us and those around us. No one deserves to be afraid of who they are, and no one should have to feel that their identity is a joke. Gender affects us all. So my wish is that we don't be scared or afraid to question that stereotype. And lastly, there is no one fixed way to be you. And we cannot let anyone tell us otherwise. Thank you so much for having us here. Thank you.